Hello and welcome to this second in a series of 7 live motivated shows around the 7 steps of the M.E.A.S.U.R E process, which I cover in my book. The book is called Motivated. So I'm Mark Terrell from the Reluctant Leader Academy, and here we're going to go through the second step in that M.E.A.S.U.R E process, and that's what we call the evaluate, if I can get the words out. So evaluate is, and I'm going to share with you one of the things that I cover in that chapter where I cover and talk about the evaluate part of the model and the process. So yesterday we talked about the mirror, putting the mirror up, and that was all about understanding and becoming self-aware, understanding your different behavior styles, motivations, and remembering that there is a style that we lead with. I covered mainly around mindset. So if you want to catch that video, I will put the link wherever you're watching this to catch up in the comments, so you can go back and watch that one if you feel you want to. And at the end of this show, I will be sharing with you an opportunity to purchase my book at a special price. And hopefully you'll stick around for that. So without further ado, let's move on and start talking about today's episode. So today's episode is about the evaluate stage of the process, the second step. It's part of it's covered in my book, which you can purchase, which I will, as I mentioned. You will get a special coupon code at the end of this show if you'd like to buy a copy. So with evaluation, it's about deciding on what problem you solve, because let's face it, every business is set up to solve a problem. So we've got to remember what that problem is, and also remembering that we can change the problem we solve at any point in that we decide to. And in my book, I cover when we decided to solve a different problem in our retail business. It was a game changer, because we were far more focused on what we were trying to deliver, and we were taken out of a competitive situation with the large retailers. So it's really important to understand the problem you solve. So with that in mind, thinking about the problem you solve, then we've got to think about a step process where we can set our intentions. So I'm going to share with you a 5-step model, the 5 elements model. which actually, which I'll explain in a minute, actually is 6 steps, because we have to repeat one of the steps. And one of those steps that we repeat is a really important one. It's quite easy to forget or skip or whatever you want to call it. But we need to make sure that we do that because it's a vital part of the process. So let's have a look at what that model is all about. So this is the 5 elements model, which I cover in a book. And there is a diagnostic around this that if you're interested, get in touch and I will point in the right direction so you can actually take the diagnostic to see where you are at your strongest, because that's the key here, is that there are these 5 steps, but we're not likely to be good at all of them. That's a bit there might be some people that are, but they're few and far between. So what we've got to do is find out which part of the process we're good at and make sure we do them well. But remembering that the parts of the process that we're not so good at, maybe we need to get some help with or whatever that might be, to make sure that we don't skip any of these steps. So let's run through what these steps are about. So firstly, the first step is here, checking. So we got to check that. Firstly, what have we achieved? And if we're starting out for the first time, obviously that is what do we want to achieve. How will we progress? How we check our progress, and what learning is likely to occur if we're starting from this point. So this is our starting point. So as it says at the bottom of the screen, where are we now? So this is where we check where we are. Next step is the visioning part, and this is about what we're doing. We have to have a vision. Every business, every person that's leading has to have a vision, so that they can then make sure that they communicate that vision to everybody. So visioning is about where do we want to be, where are we heading towards, what do we need to decide, and what ideas do we have to get there. So it's very much about a bit of a thinking process, thinking about the future, what's it going to look like, envisioning it. And then if you're in a group that's doing this, then everyone's got to try and bring together their own part of that vision and where they fit in and what the contribution is. So that's the visioning stage. Next stage is to plan. So plan is how will we get there? We talk about what and where, but now we need to talk about how we're going to get there. What will stop us getting there? So the main obstacles for getting to where we need to go, and what plan of action is necessary. So this is very much about getting some detail down, so that we have a bit more meat on the bones with regards to, okay, we know where we're going, but actually, what we're going to do, how we're going to get there, and what are the elements that we need to put in place. Next step is facilitating. So this is where we think about the resources we want. So resources could be time, money, equipment, all those things that might will help us to bring our vision to life. So this is very much about resources, and remembering that we need to develop the right people with the right skills, and also remembering that we want to bring the right people in with the right motivations to the right roles, and also what other people do we need to bring in that we might need some help from. So these are all things when we're thinking about the resources that we need to get to where we want to go, this facilitating stage. And then finally, the actual doing. So it's actually doing what we said we were going to do, putting those things and plans into action, and seeing how we get on. And as we know, that one of the things about plans is that mostly they won't come off straight away, and we want to plug away with them. Things won't go quite to plan, so we need to adapt and see what went wrong and what went well. So what here we're talking about the actions that are happening. Are they aligned with our efforts, and how do we align them with our efforts? And how do we ensure everyone remains committed? So it's about remembering that everyone's got to be on board and knowing that the role that they play to allow everything to play out, so we can reach that vision that we set out in the second spot. And then the next stage is revisiting, checking. So we need to then do the same thing. How do we get on? What went well? What progress did we make? And what learnings did we make in that time scale? So you could, as you probably might be aware, if this can be used with the whole business, but it can also be used for a project. And it's remembering that there are these 5 stages, and what we need to know is, where are we strong, and if we've got a team that is only strong in 2 or 3 areas and the other 2 areas we're very weak on, then what's the implications there? And is that the barrier from actually achieving what we want to achieve? Is that the thing that we need to address? Is that we haven't got maybe enough planners in our team, or maybe we haven't got enough doers? It's all very well having a vision and setting an intention, but we've got to make sure that what we set out to do actually happens. So that involves doing and getting stuff done and getting the task done. So hopefully that has been useful. So that's one of the models that I share in the Evaluate chapter of the book, where I step through the M.E.A.S.U.R.E program. And if you obviously want to get some more details about how that works, as I've mentioned, you can order my book, which you can follow the link on the reluctantleader.academy homepage. There's a link there to go to the page where you can order the book. And if you use coupon code at the checkout, when you're ordering your single copy, if you put live show in there, you'll find that you get free delivery, which I will take up. I will take the burden of the delivery, make sure it gets to you, and obviously pay for it. So I hope that's useful. I will be back tomorrow for the next step of the process, which is action. And that sort of falls in with one of the steps that I've just covered on the 5 elements model, where we've got to take action, but also got to make sure that we are noticing. That's one of the key things we've got to do when we're in that spot, noticing what's going right and what's going well. And I'll be covering one of the elements of that part of the process, which also is covered in the book. So if you've joined me today, then please leave a comment. If you've got any questions or anything you'd like to say about this episode of the Motivated Live Show, then please leave a comment. If you catch this on replay, again, leave a comment. It could be great to hear from you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. And until the next time, have a great day, and I will catch you on the next live show.